Remain honest.
Handsome.
Amazing.
Honest.
Powerful.
Humble.
These 5 words can be used to describe great men, such as Brandon and myself. As thrilling as it would be to spend the next 30 minutes talking about how great we are, our task for tonight is actually talk about how great Logan is, and spend a little bit of time talking about Joe as well.
Logan and Joe. I want you to think back to earlier this evening during your vows. At one point, you were told to turn toward each other and look deep into each other's eyes. Please go ahead and do that again now. As you stare at the love of your life, just think about the fact that you are staring into the eyes of the person, statistically speaking, who is most likely to murder you. This is a fact. This is not advice. This is a statistic.
All right, now that we broke the ice, we're going to go ahead and change things back to focusing on 5 words that describe Logan.
All right, word number 1, brave. I think a story from 2006 when Logan was 15 best demonstrates this attribute. Liz, who is now my wife, was visiting Columbus and meeting Logan for the first time. I had to work on my car, and Logan was tasked with letting out Bo, our grandparents' old dog. So Liz volunteered, Logan knows. So Liz volunteered to drive Logan over to my grandparents' house. For those of you who knew Bo, he was not overly friendly. In fact, he hated everyone except my grandparents. Logan, knowing this, told Liz she could open the front door and walk into the house first. As naive Liz opened the door and walked in, Bo viciously bit her pant leg while Logan stood outside the house laughing. Okay, this is why he's so brave. Luckily for Liz, Bo was a 10-pound dog and she was unscathed.
Resourceful. So there's plenty of stories I can describe how Logan's been able to do this over the years, but one that comes to mind, probably the first one that I can think of, is back when he was around 12 years old. We went on a family cruise with some friends. We'd only been on the ship for probably less than 30 minutes, and Logan and his friend, also named Logan, disappeared. No one knows where they are for 4 hours. And I mean, they put out the Amber Alert on the cruise ship, at least I think that's what it's called on the cruise, I don't know. But we ended up finally tracking them down in a sports bar where they've been hanging out with some guys from IU that were on spring break for the last 4 hours, watching an IU basketball game. But somehow Logan just continued to come out on top, and all of us are freaking out trying to figure out where he is, and he fell overboard.
The third word, generous. Logan is so generous that he actually donated a kidney to me a little over 3 years ago after I'd been sick for a long time. It's a true story. That's obviously a huge thing for someone to do, and I'm extremely grateful. However, at times, it's a little weird having someone else's organ inside your body. The strangest thing is that sometimes I know what Logan is thinking. For example, just this evening, as Joe was walking down the aisle, he was thinking how beautiful she was, how lucky he is to be marrying her, and I think we can all agree with that. And then, right before I started the speech, he was having racing thoughts through his head of all the embarrassing things and stupid things he did when he was a little kid and growing up, worried that Cole and I might bring them up. For example, the last time he was in a wedding in Bloomington, he was 5 years old. Our aunt and uncle, Joel and Julie, were getting married, and he took all of the wedding party pictures in his underwear because his tux pants were soaking wet. Again, our goal here is not to embarrass Logan, so I'm not going to go into details, but you're welcome to ask him about it later. Right now, Logan is thinking about how mad he is about us bringing these things up. Logan, just remember that if you hurt me, you're technically hurting yourself because I have your thing.
Loyal. So this is a more recent story than when he was 5. So from last summer, we were on a canoe trip in the Boundary Waters, and out in the middle of the wilderness, no one's anywhere around, no cell phone reception, nothing. And we're paddling like a bunch of idiots, through this giant lake as the storm comes rolling in. We've got white cap waves rolling over the front of the canoe, and Austin was there, he can speak to this. So we all thought we were gonna die that day, no joke. So as Cole was struggling to keep the canoe, headed in the right direction, Logan just kept paddling away. I mean, he just continued to paddle and paddle, and somehow we all survived that day, even though there were multiple times that we didn't think we were going to make it. So he stuck it out and was loyal the whole time.
All right, the last word, number 5, educated. Logan and Joe met while in college at Butler University. Logan was a football player, and Joe was the starting center on the basketball team. Given her towering stature. Joe, that was a short joke. Boo, roasted.
We really do have a lot of Butler alumni tonight here, so you raise your hand if you went to Butler. So when we knew there were going to be so many Butler people in the house tonight, we reached out to the university to try to figure out who we could get here as a speaker to help reinforce what the message that Brandon and I were trying to portray tonight. So unfortunately, when we started giving the names of everyone that was going to be here, they didn't recognize any of you guys.
Because none of you guys are famous athletes, we ultimately ended up making a large donation to them to send us a guest speaker to discuss things like teamwork, achieving goals, and communication, all of which are important during team sports as well as marriage. Unfortunately, former coach Brad Stevens was already booked, and Gordon Hayward would not return any of our calls. There's sort of a restraining order situation right now. So, with that glowing intro, please welcome the third most requested Butler speaker, Hink the Butler Bulldog.
No way!
Just a second, I think we need to discuss something here. Okay, so apparently Hink doesn't actually speak. We hired him to come speak, so he suggested that we express our excitement for Logan and Joe in a different way. So for those of you that don't know, this was a very poor reenactment of Logan and Cole's prior best man interpretive dance at my wedding. So that's payback, Logan. But in all seriousness, Joe has been a part of Logan in our lives for almost a decade now. So we're so happy for you both, and we wish you the best going forward. We know you guys are going to be great. So if everyone could grab a glass. So, to Logan and Joe. Cheers. Hank will be sticking around for a while, by the way.
Give it up for Cole and Brandon one more time.